Good hello friends, my name is Melanie and welcome back to my channel. So first and foremost, I do want to apologize and say that this is coming to you a little bit later than I would have preferred it to. However, I just started my school semester this Monday and senior year is going to kick my butt. So with that being said, I am hoping to at least get one video out each week. That is my general goal. I do have plans to stay consistent. However, I know that my time on YouTube will slow down a little bit. So with that being said, I am really active on Twitter and I check it like all the time, every day. I just wanted to say thank you for being patient as the school semester starts and as I finish my last year of my undergrad. However, that is not the point of today's video. Today is my August wrap-up. So in the month of August, I finished 11 books, DNF'd 1, and I'm currently reading 2 of the books that I started in August. So let's go ahead and dive straight in. The first book that I have to talk about is God's Grave by Kristoff. This, unfortunately, is the book that I decided to DNF. Not only did I choose not to bring it to school with me, which means I am outright leaving it at home so I don't pick it up. I found that it was kind of redundant to leave it on my currently reading on Goodreads, and it just didn't make any sense to me. I wasn't enjoying the story when I was reading it. The whole gladiator thing is not my vibe. So maybe I'll revisit it someday. I was like literally 50% of the way through, but like I just can't anymore. I don't feel any attachment to the characters right now, and I honestly probably couldn't tell you what was going on in the story. It's a DNF for now. I'll probably revisit it when I like want to, but when is that really gonna be? I don't know. The next book that I'm going to talk about is Kingdom of Copper by S.A. Chakraborty, which is book 2 in the Daevabad trilogy. So as you guys heard last month, myself, Elena, and Samantha read the City of Brass and we didn't love it. And then we read Kingdom of Copper and all of us didn't love it. And I believe Elena and Samantha are both planning on reading Empire of Gold sometime soon. I think Elena's reading it sooner than Samantha is. However, I don't want to read the third book unless it's over audio. So the experience that I had with this book was rough. Not only did I start reading the wrong book and essentially spoiled myself for the entirety of Kingdom of Copper. I literally read 30% of Empire of Gold and knew everything that happened in Kingdom of Copper. However, I didn't really care that I knew. It almost like made sense that I knew everything, and it made reading book 2 a lot easier, but I still just did not enjoy it. I don't know if it was just the intense hatred from everyone from all sides. I don't know if it was the switching of sides that I didn't like. Consequences didn't feel as intense as the language was ensuing, and I don't have that same oh my gosh I can't believe this happened reaction to literally half the book. Unfortunately, I did not enjoy this. I gave this a 2.5 stars, and honestly, if I didn't listen to it over audio, I would not have finished the book at all. I probably would have DNF'd it. And that kind of sucks because like I needed to fly through it and feel some sense of accomplishment and achievement for this book, but it is what it is. It's over now, so it's okay. I don't know if I'm gonna be reading Empire of Gold, and I'm sorry for all of you Daevabad stans. It's just not for me. Moving into the next book that I read, it was The Brother Years by Shannon Burke. This was a very interesting read for me. I got this as an ARC, and so I didn't really know too much about it going in just because I like to kind of go in blind for my ARC. However, this book is just one that was not for me, but it was really well written. The Brother Years follows this family, and you kind of go through all of their life experiences between all of these brothers. You understand why one person is influenced by another. You understand why the family is the way that they are, and it's such a great character analysis. However, I am a plot-driven reader, so although it was really easy for me to read, I also didn't really care, and that just kind of comes from the fact that like I don't like character-driven stories. That isn't to say these characters were dull even in the slightest. They are all so interesting and so well explored, I think. And it is technically also a historical fiction because it's set in a different era, and I really enjoyed this. However, I can't give it like a 5-star rating because it's not for me. If you are a character-driven reader, for sure pick up The Brother Years. I gave this a 3.5 stars. Up next, I read So You Want to Talk About Race. I would love to see this used in a sociology class, specifically the race and ethnicity class. I took one a couple years back, and I think a lot of what is being said is so extremely educational, so I think everybody should read this point blank period. However, if you were taking a sociology class, and specifically a race and ethnicity class, this would be so incredibly beneficial. I actually emailed my professor that I took this class with, and they said that they were going to try and incorporate some passages from this because it impacted me so much in my major and my understanding, even though this wasn't like anything I haven't heard before. With the Black Lives Matter movement and the efforts of so many people to continue educating themselves, I think this is a fantastic resource. I listened to this over audio while reading the ebook as it went along, and I found that it was a very powerful experience, and I was able to mark up things that I wanted to come back to and refer to my professors. And of course, I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. I feel like rating nonfiction like this is difficult, but I rated this in the sense that I felt educated. I felt that you could use this in academia and you could use it for your own personal growth and reference. That's how I went about rating it. I know a ton of people have different rating scales for nonfiction, so that's just how I refer to it. Alright, up next I read The Dark Between Stars and the Truth About Magic by Atticus. I read Love Her Wild last month and I really enjoyed it. I think it still stays my favorite of the three. However, The Dark Between Stars comes as a number 2, and then The Truth About Magic becomes number 3 in terms of my enjoyment. I think with The Dark Between Stars, it follows the same structure as Love Her Wild in that it's 3 sections, and I really like how that was organized, whereas The Truth About Magic goes into way more. And I still think it's great. However, I found myself connecting far more with The Dark Between Stars over The Truth About Magic. So I gave The Dark Between Stars a 4.5 and then The Truth About Magic a 4-star. Moving into what is probably my favorite read of this month, I read This Mortal Coil by Emily Savada with Sasha and Jamie over on Instagram. I'll go ahead and tag them both down below. I've talked about the both of them before. They're one of my favorite duos in the entire world, and getting to buddy read this with them was such an experience. I think once I read the entire trilogy, I'm going to do a series review on it, because this book was like everything that I needed from sci-fi in that exact moment. It was equal levels of entertaining and enticing while really battling what sci-fi means. And you guys saw I just took a sci-fi class, and I think this would have been a perfect fit for that sci-fi class had we had like an independent book that we could have read. I think this is easily going to be one of my top books of the year, and that is a statement. I just had so much fun reading it, and I constantly wanted to pick it up, and I just thought it was so entertaining and I couldn't get enough of it. 100% a 5 out of 5 star, and I really need to pick up the sequel. Up next, I finally finished The Glass Hotel by Emily St. John Mendel. This was difficult. Myself and Elena were buddy reading it. She finished it way earlier than I did. I just couldn't be bothered to pick this book up, and that is so depressing. I don't think I've been so heavily disappointed by a book, especially because Station 11 was such a favorite of mine and Elena's. She does a much better job with explaining it and reviewing it, and her and I have very similar thoughts. I think the ending really does save the book, but to slog through so much of this and then finally meet the Ponzi scheme and see the white collar crime and see the effects of everything was really powerful, but I think it should have been done way earlier. I feel like understanding what the Glass Hotel was as an embodiment of something should have been explained way earlier, and quite literally I just think the book could have been shorter, even though it's pretty short as it is. Again, this is one of those character-driven novels, I feel. I didn't think there was much of a plot. Elena can agree that there isn't much of a plot, so I don't know. I think going from such a high with Station 11 to this is the wrong way to go, and I find that if you sit and try to compare the two, you will get disappointed. So maybe going in blind to The Glass Hotel and then Station 11 would be the way to do it, but I was disappointed and there's really nothing I can do about it. I gave it a 3-star because objectively I can say the writing was good, but the story itself wasn't anything special to me. Moving forward to The Pale Dreamer by Samantha Shannon. This is the prequel to The Bone Season, which I read like 2 years ago now, and one of my favorite books of that year. Still probably one of my favorite books of all time. I think about it all the time. I was supposed to buddy read The Bone Season with Samantha. However, I read The Pale Dreamer and then I got busy, and then I said that I was currently reading The Bone Season on Goodreads, and then I promptly removed The Bone Season from my currently reading because I did not pick it up. And that's not to say that I didn't want to. I was just so busy. So I was really happy to get to at least read The Pale Dreamer because it was such a great prequel, especially having read it after reading The Bone Season was like the icing on the cake, because we just get to see a soft page, and with Nick and the interactions and the way the 7 seals are built, you get to, oh my gosh, you start to get the hints to all of it, and it's so good. It's so good. I really enjoyed it. I gave it a 4-star, and I saw a couple people give it like a 2-star, and I was like, I don't know how, because the soft page and Nick vibes are there, and I loved it. I loved it. I was very happy. Up next, I read They Call Us Enemy by George Takei, and this was a lot harder to read than I was expecting. It's a graphic novel, so you think, you know, kind of fun, kind of whatever. The title is They Call Us Enemy, so, you know, you come in with expectations of it not being an easy read. However, I had to literally stop at certain points and be like, whoa, okay, my heart hurts. And I think that is what makes this so powerful. It is a nonfiction, I guess autobiography, if you will, told in this graphic novel format, which is really easy to consume. However, keeping in mind the story is still very difficult to go through. It's a fantastic reflection of the US relations at the time, of Pearl Harbor, of Japanese internment, of the consequences that come with being in the US in general. Like, this country is so corrupt, and to see the generational effects that this can have on one individual is insane. I gave this a 5-star. Again, with nonfiction, I find it is really difficult to rate it, especially when it's like an biography, but I felt educated, I felt empowered, and I was still able to sympathize in a way that made sense to me. I think it was really artfully done, and the art is beautiful. It just, give this a read if you are at all a fan of Star Trek. I'm not even a fan of Star Trek, but like, I had to read it. I had to, and I don't regret it. It was incredible. Next, I read the Tea Dragon Festival, and this was so cute. Between the relationships between the characters, the sign language that we got in this, the gorgeous art style, like the Tea Dragon series is so good, and I will 100% read them every single time. I'm so grateful that Owl Crate sent it in one of their boxes a while back, and I mean, since then I have canceled my subscription, but it was Owl Crate that introduced me to this incredible graphic novel series, and now it has expanded so much and I'm catching up with it, but I adore it, and I'm really hoping to continue with the series soon. I gave it a 5 stars. I love this. It was so cute, and if you haven't read the Tea Dragon Society, please do. And finally, the last book that I have to mention is When Lust Was Enough by Shannon O'Connor. You guys know I've been reading Shannon's poems for literally forever, and I'm so grateful that she keeps reaching out to me to continue to read her arcs, because I really do love her poetry and her style. Each time I read a collection, I always say this was so good, because it heals but it also hurts, and that is the same for When Lust Was Enough. This is the perfect description of what it means to date in the 21st century, with online dating, with relationships, with a one-night stand, with it being the love of your life. Like, it's so good and so relatable. I think anybody in their 20s can really understand the extent to which you can connect to this. Shannon continues to write in a way that is so deep from her heart that it kind of hurts, but it also like puts you back together, because she just does it right. I give this a 4.5. It's very close to being one of my favorites of hers. I will continue to support Shannon for all of her career. So that is it for all of the books that I read in August. I am currently reading A House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas, and there will be a video coming out for that as soon as I finish it. And then I'm reading book 1 of the Inheritance trilogy, so The 100,000 Kingdom by N.K. Jemisin, and I'm really enjoying both. I thought I would just drop my current reads in here so that you guys knew what I was up to. Also, check out my video of me tier ranking the books for the last 4 months of this year, which is so crazy to me. I won't be posting any more monthly TBRs just because I have no clue what my reading is going to look like. So definitely refer to that video to see what books I am planning on reading for sure. However, as always, there's going to be books that trickle in left and right that I wasn't even expecting to read. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Follow me on all of my socials, and until then,